Jojo's Bizarre Adventure Stone Ocean is a story of father and daughter. It's a story of personal growth with the best ending in all of fiction. Jojo's Part 6 is often touted as being a waste of time, as rather than just the death of a few characters, the ending featured the death of the entire story or journey. But I'm here to tell you that while it may seem like this initially, even though Jolynes' adventures may have been written out of history with the creation of the New World, her personal growth, development, and friends remained within the new timeline. Our protagonist Jolynes Jojo has a heart of gold, but she's rough around the edges much like her father Jotaro was when we were first introduced to him in Part 3. Jolynes portrays herself and acts like someone who is very hateful of her father. She outwardly expresses her love for her mother and her somewhat hatred and general negative attitude towards her father. Jolynes acts as if she couldn't care less about Jotaro and that she completely wants him out of her life, but her actions reflect the exact opposite. In Jolynes' eyes, her father didn't care about her and refused to make time for her, but she somewhat subconsciously, and I would argue consciously, needs the love of her father. And because of this, she always finds herself making up situations to try and force them to reunite and come back together. The narrator in Part 6 all but said as much, as he described Jolynes going through numerous situations that she thought would cause her father to return to her, but he didn't no matter what. When Jolynes was younger, she got seriously sick and was hospitalized, but even after that, her father still didn't return home, and she even started acting out to seek her father's attention, and again she got nothing. And this has been building up her whole life, constantly forcing her to make bad decisions and start hanging around the wrong kind of people. Until at the beginning of Part 6, where Jolynes finally ended up in prison. And once Jolynes was in prison, it seemed like her goal was finally accomplished and her dad finally cared about her. Then it was revealed why Jotaro was actually there. Jolynes was set up to go to prison by a stand user ultimately controlled by Pucci, all in order to bait Jotaro to come get her out of prison, and it worked. So yet again we find a situation where Jolynes, who thought her dad finally cared about her enough to come save her, ended up only being there for completely unrelated reasons. When Jotaro got there, there was a small battle and it ended with Jotaro saving Jolynes' life, but in the process he lost his stand and memories, becoming nothing more than a husk and a shell of his former self. After saving Jolynes, Jotaro gave his final wish to her, telling her to escape in the ocean while she had the chance. But something changed in Jolynes. She suddenly felt responsible for her dad and went back into prison to revive him. That's what she did for pretty much the rest of Part 6. She spent almost all of the part in an effort to retrieve discs from Pucci and revive her father. Jolynes persevered through countless battles and challenges and ended up growing throughout all of them. And this was the whole point of Part 6. Contrary to popular belief, Araki's goal was never for Jolynes to save her father, and a good source of motivation for Jolynes to go on this whole adventure in the story. But narratively, the whole point was for Jolynes to save herself. It just so happens that the best way for Jolynes to save herself was throughout saving her father, because throughout the story, Jolynes not only grew in strength, but also as a person, completely transforming from where she was at the beginning of the story. And all this growth is the primary reason as to why people hate the ending of Stone Ocean so much. But what if I were to tell you that the ending doesn't actually take anything away? So normally in JoJo's we get the introduction of the MC, and immediately upon their introduction there's some sort of major event that happens that causes them to go on some adventure. Then this middle part is the adventure where they go through numerous mini arcs, battles, and fights. Then at the end, some other protagonist, mainly the main character's close friends, end up dying, and the MC ends up reaching their goal. But in Part 6, instead of only seeing some beloved characters die, the whole story and journey goes away forever. But while it may seem like this, nothing was really lost. People often say that it's not the goal, the destination, or the treasure that matters. It's the journey that matters and the friends that you made along the way. And this is what's so great about Part 6. Jolynes never wanted to be some kind of hero. She simply wanted a better relationship with her father, and she also needed to work through some things to become a better person along the way. But when people say that it's just the journey that matters, that's not really what they mean. They mean that the treasure you get is the experiences and the memories that you keep from all of the journey. But in Jolyne's case, it's this character growth. Jolyne doesn't necessarily have to keep the individual memories of the fights or any of the battles or hardships she went through, but only if she can get the results of the character growth from all of the journeys that helped complete her and turn her into a strong, independent person. So with the conclusion of JoJo's Part 6, when everything was reset, first off, Jolyne's name changed to Irene. This is because in the reset, Jolyne was never a prominent fighter or an important Joestar, so she didn't have the Jo in her name. But other than the name change and the loss of her stand, not much else was lost. She maintained the friends that she made along the way, and seemingly kept all of the character growth without keeping any of the hardships. And beyond just that, she even had a better relationship with her father. So really, Jolyne was able to keep everything important to her, get her final goal of having a better relationship with her father, being a more complete and strong person, along with keeping all of their friends and the character development that was gained throughout all of Part 6. And she did all this without having to go through any of the hardships or the pain. So really, all this did was build up to the perfect ending for JoJo's Part 6. Now finally, the author's thoughts of the ending. In the final volume of Stone Ocean, Araki wrote some of his thoughts about the ending of Part 6. Araki stated that he essentially felt that Jolynes Journey was over. He stated that Jolyne's story was never about just saving her father. Rather, it was about filling the void in her heart due to not having a father and becoming a strong, independent person. And by the end of the story, Jolyne had accomplished that and wasn't really needed any further. He also stated that in the new reset of the world, although the timeline may have played out differently, Jolyne's feelings, emotions, and growth were memorialized and she kept them in the new world. And as for why the reset occurred, Araki felt that he was reaching his creative peak, and it would be very hard to go past something like this time warping of Pucci, so he decided to make it like it never happened and really go back to his roots when he started writing Part 7. That's all for the video, and that's why I think that JoJo's Part 6 had not only the best ending in manga or anime, but the best ending in all of fiction. And as always, that's just my thoughts, and let me hear yours in the comment section down below. And to stay up to date with all my future videos, make sure to like and subscribe.